Hey folks, Dr. Mike here for Renaissance Periodization, and I'm hitting you with another hypertrophy myth. And the myth today is that training has to, for sure, be ultra hard if you're serious about growth. We'll talk about what this myth really is and what people are saying. We'll talk about the sort of silver lining that maybe it does make some good points. Talk about the bad stuff and ways in which it really is a myth. And we'll sort of wrap it all up by talking about a little real talk of what you should take away from a video like this. So the idea is that training has to be super hard for you to grow and or just grow at your best. And any training that doesn't push the limits is suboptimal. And you'll see this in whole lots of social media comments of like, oh, he didn't look like he was that close to failure, or like these guys don't scream. And then you get embellished social media content where bodybuilders yell after every rep of leg extensions and stuff like that, and hashtag hardcore and triple drop sets and all this other stuff. And every session we go to war, and every session, everything's to failure all the time because that's how you get results. And if you don't get results trying like that, your results aren't the best or you're not serious. So, okay, that's an interesting idea. And the silver lining here is that for intermediates and for advanced trainees, on occasion, testing the limits is a very good idea. We know scientifically that the best growth occurs just before the limits. 3, 2, 1 reps in reserve, 3 or 2 or 1 reps away from muscular failure. But going to 1 and then 0 reps away from failure and to failure itself on occasion, maybe once every mesocycle at the very end, is a good way to make sure that what you think is 3, 2, or 1 reps away from failure actually is. Because you could be second guessing, you could be kidding yourself. What you think is 3 reps away from failure is really 6, which is not so uncommon. So occasionally pushing it is a good idea, at least for that reason. Occasionally pushing it might also have some unique growth benefits. We're really pushing it to your limits and a little beyond your normal limits can maybe cause a type of growth, maybe via satellite cell recruitment that is special and is a qualitatively different type of growth that you just would never get training normally. That's speculative, but the speculation is reasonable enough for us to at least consider, we're not 100% sure that training with 2 RIR all the time is the best gains. So maybe on occasion we could really, really push it to see if we can get any of that kind of special growth, right? And for folks that do this, the last week or weeks of a program, often the last week or the last 2 are just going to be brutal, especially that last week. Everything is 1 or 0 reps away from failure. And it's just like you're going to, metaphorical war at that point. Lots of screaming, lots of crying, lots of laying in a puddle of your own sweat, make a little sweat angel in the gym. That's a thing that has to happen. I get flack from all sides when you're in social media and you're a big deal celebrity like me. You can, you get criticism from both sides. So one of the things we get on our YouTube videos, every Monday we'll show a training video. And one of the things is we say like, hey, don't train like this all the time. This is towards the end of a mesocycle. Usually, we train at some more reps in reserve than this. And it's not all triple drop sets to failure. People will say, this is really too much. And there's the inevitable guy that comes in as, can a natty recover from this? Like, shut up. Everyone clap that he's natty. Thank you. Clap him out. Get out of here. And people seem to think like anytime you train hard or you're doing something wrong, you're going to kill yourself. So the good part of this train hard idea is that it normalizes the idea that at least sometimes you should be training hard and that's okay. I get a lot of flack for throwing up after leg workouts. And is that something you want to do every leg workout? No, and I don't do it every leg workout, but I'll do it every now and again because I just have to throw up because I'm going that hard, and there's nothing wrong with that on occasion. Like, you throw up every now and again. It's not going to rip your esophagus open in all likelihood. It's not going to rot your teeth to shit. That's if you throw up multiple times a day every day, like a bulimic or something. So yes, there are times where sheer brutality is the evidence-based prescription. And yes, I know that evidence-based in some circles has this like sort of monotonic anesthetized, like you just do leg extensions and you're like, oh, I can feel that. That's RIR. And you stop and you write in your little notebook with your pencil, you get your calculator, you book nerd shit. And that's just not the way it is. Real scientific training on occasion at the end of a meso will be like nuts, multiple sets to failure or close, throwing up, laying on the ground, barely able to walk, convulsing, all the stuff, somebody like Trevor Fulbright, who you've seen on this channel, who trains super hard and is super evidence-based, stuff like that. Like it's tough out there. So yes, that is a true thing. However, the bad stuff, the stuff that makes this myth, well, a myth. First, not all training has to be to the limits. And people say like, dude, I take every set to failure. Every exercise, I take one set to failure. Every session, I take at least one set to failure and really like just grind it out. It turns out that training 3, 2, 1 reps away from failure is amazing. And that's not to the limits, and it works really well. And people can say, well, hold on a second. How do we know it works well? We have tons of direct studies on it now that compare training shy of failure and training to failure. And the training shy of failure almost always beats the training to failure in the compared groups. And then people will say, well, now hold on a second. A lot of times these are beginners. So the group that thinks they're training 3 reps away from fail is really training like 6 reps away from fail. Like, yes, that's true. And the group that's training to fail is training like really 3 reps away from fail. They're like, yes, that's true. And they're like, so see, that doesn't work. Like, no, it works even better than you thought it did. Because now we have a 6 RIR in reality group beating a 3 RIR group. 6 RIR is better than 3 RIR? Yeah, for beginners maybe. Right? Am I saying you should go train at 6 RIR? Yes, I am. If it's your first 6 months of training, absolutely. Certainly to solidify your technique, and you will get great gains, better gains than if you went closer to failure. Now, as you get more advanced, that shit doesn't cut it anymore. An actual 3 RIR is where you want to be. But people try to wiggle around this. The research is very clear that, going all the way to failure is not the best idea. And then they'll say, well, my favorite bodybuilder does. Well, that's because you're cherry picking your favorite bodybuilders. And then they'll say, well, what about Dorian? Well, what about Ronnie? Ronnie didn't go to failure all the time. What about Jay Cutler? Jay Cutler is on record saying he maybe has never trained to failure. People like to bring up people like JP and people like Dorian and say, oh, see, failure training's the best. But like, there's tons of other great bodybuilders, tons of other better bodybuilders that don't go to failure all the time. And you're just like cherry picking the fuck out of them. So like, just admit it. You think going to failure is hardcore and being hardcore is fun. That's the only reason you think that. You haven't put any thought into it. Don't pretend your feelings or thoughts. Next, some muscles that you have just have very low volume landmarks. They just don't need a lot of volume to grow. And any more volume than what you can put in gets you overlapping soreness, which means your muscles never really heal, and degrades performance over time and can cause injuries and can just have you having a bad time and actually losing muscle or maintaining muscle at the expense of your tissue integrity. So like if you can do 3 sets of hamstrings twice a week and barely recover from soreness each time you train and your hamstring progression is amazing, that's all you need. And we'll actually have questions and people say like, man, am I doing something wrong? Like I just do 3 sets of hams and it blows me away. No. You're both lucky that your volume landmarks are so low. You need so little volume to stimulate a muscle properly, and you're doing everything right. Like if only all the rest of our muscles only needed 6 sets a week to grow maximally, holy shit, I'd take that fucking pill. But that's not the case. But you have people in a situation where they see their favorite, Instagram influencer claim to train 25 sets to failure every week or some shit. And they look at that and they go, fuck, man, like I want to do that. That seems cool. And I guess that's how you grow. And then their own body only recovers to something like 6 sets or 9 sets. And they go, damn, like, am I doing something wrong? And no, like you can only train to what your body can recover from. Now, can you work on your recovery separately, get more sleep, get more food, et cetera, to potentially increase how many sets you can survive? Yes, that's totally worth your time. But whatever that number is going to be after you make all those adjustments, that's just what it's going to be. And there's no reason for you to feel weird about like, well, I just can't train that much. That's great. That's actually a good thing. And people who have more fast twitch muscle fibers proportionally, people that are larger and stronger, actually have lower maximum recoverable volumes on average. So many of your favorite bodybuilders don't train nearly as much as they would if they were smaller. So because you can train a very small amount, oftentimes that's indicative of the fact that that's a gifted muscle group for you and that it may actually get much bigger over time. Right? It's the people that can do 30 sets for their arms and legs every week that are generally endurance type build small people that'll never get that much bigger. Real talk. So don't ever worry about your volume landmarks. They are what they are. Seek to improve them through recovery and through nutrition and through sleep and all that stuff. But after that, don't try to train more because it feels more hardcore. You can only train to how much you can recover. Any more is a stupid idea. Next. On some exercises, failure looks really dramatic. You're pulling and you're screaming and blood squirting out of your eyes and all that good stuff. But on some exercises, failure just doesn't look very dramatic. And a tricep push down, you go, ooh, that's it. That's it. That's failure. And you don't have to embellish it and scream and cry and yell. And that's not what causes muscle growth anyway. So as long as you're being honest with yourself in your own head and pushing yourself as hard as you think you can go and occasionally testing the waters and going harder, that's all that has to happen to make sure each set is of a high quality, especially on your peak week when you're trying to push really, really close to failure. If you have a doubt in your mind about how hard you're pushing yourself, definitely try pushing yourself harder. But if you really are just failing with a whole lot of emotion, externally visible, don't worry about it. That's all for the cameras anyway, and it doesn't matter what your face looks like as long as you're really trying, you're good to go. But if you're one of these people that fails rather undramatically, it can feel like you're missing out, and that's not something you should be feeling. I mean, not in this case anyway. When everyone's at the party and you're at home playing World of Warcraft, yes, you should feel like you're missing out, you fucking loser. I'm just kidding. I was never intelligent enough to play World of Warcraft. It actually turns out you need friends even to do that. So I sat at home and read the encyclopedia. That's only partially a joke. That describes me at age 10. Anyway, another one. Going hard, psychologically, the grind, the screaming, the yelling, causes a huge amount of psychological fatigue. That's a technical term for that is psychological arousal. Stay calm, YouTube. I know you get aroused easily. Yes, what you're talking about is sexual arousal, but there's general emotional arousal, which is that feeling. But that feeling causes a ton of psychological fatigue, and we know that fatigue is all interrelated. So you generate a ton of fatigue just by trying hard psychologically. It can spill over to the rest of your training. We know this is true because if you generate a lot of psychological fatigue, not even training, it can spill over into the rest of your training and recovery. If you have a 2-hour-long fight with your girlfriend, not physical fight, emotional fight, boy, do those hurt worse, then you may find yourself completely drained and unable to really have good workouts, and you need a couple days of deload. That's how much poison psychological fatigue can introduce into the system. Now, if you make up with your girlfriend properly, the post-fight sex, this can also drain you, but in other ways. Semen, that's what I'm talking about. In any case, warrior shit is sweet. You're a fucking Ronin, whatever the hell you have to tell yourself, but that can backfire. So what I would say is treat yourself more on average like a machine rather than a samurai warrior. First microcycle, calm, gentle, compassionate machine, iRobot type shit. The next couple mesos, incrementally more machine-like to like mech warrior, Gundam wing type shit. And then maybe the last microcycle, last week, yes, unsheath your samurai sword and whatever that fucking, don't harakiri yourself, sword forward. And really unleash the warrior, poet, samurai motherfucker inside of you. But if you unleash that dumbass in microcycle 1, you're just going to be so drained by week 3 that you won't have productive training. You'll have to deload. Then you just have to sort of you're like a car that sputters and stops. You want consistency and good high quality training, and you don't need to spill out what you really think about grandma emotionally into the hack squat in microcycle 1. I mean, what grandma did, I'll never forgive and I'll never forget. But that's between me and the bar in mesocycle, in microcycle 5, week 5. Week 1, I only have positive memories of grandma that I choose to recollect. Here's the thing. Last point. Yes, it's mythical and cool and idyllic to do shitload of volume, sets and sets and sets. And we do 5 sets of rows and 5 sets of machine rows, and 5 sets of dumbbell rows and 5 sets of pull downs and 5 sets dildo rows and all that other shit. Cool. But for almost everyone, when they're training properly, 3 to 10 sets per muscle group per workout is usually better than 10 or more. I think Mr. Jeffrey Nippard had a very good review video where he concludes it's roughly 6 sets is kind of the optimum. Now, there's a ton of caveats to that, and 6 is pretty close. Another review found it's roughly 8 on average. But it's such a huge distribution based on different factors, different muscles, different fiber types, different individuals, different times. That it ends up being more like 3 to 10. But, does that mean that it would feel cooler in some way to be able to do 12 or 15 sets per workout? Yes. it would feel fucking sweet. And if you've got that energy and that drive to train hard, hey, listen, I feel you. Also, when you catch a good pump and everything's feeling amazing, mind muscle, you just kind of don't want to stop. But the reality is you're there to do a job, and the job is stimulate muscle growth. And if that job is checkmarked and over after 10 sets or 8 sets or whatever it is, just go home, right? The purpose of the gym is not so that you feel smashed. The purpose of the gym is that you adequately stimulate muscle growth, get a robust pump, get some soreness, and get the fuck out and come back and repeat. More on that last part in a second. So real talk, and here's that last part. Real ingredients of effective training are consistency, multiple weekly workouts, multiple weeks strung together of good workouts, not psychotic workouts, good. The beginning of the meso, they start pretty easy, but effective. You don't need much at the beginning of the meso. You're not used to the shit. Through the middle of the meso, they get pretty intense. To the end, they get psychotic and insane, and it's time to start thinking bad thoughts about grandma again. And that all is good ingredients, but it's the consistency that unifies it. Showing up for, over the course of 4 weeks, 8 good leg workouts will grow infinitely more muscle, maybe not infinitely, mild exaggeration, than like going hard once a week on legs and overdoing it in the session. And that's only 4 workouts. Another thing, another real ingredient of effective training is progression. It's the ability to do 10 reps with 100 pounds one week, 11 reps with 100 pounds next week, 11 reps with 105 pounds the week after, and 12 reps with 105 the week after that. Then deload, then start somewhere in the middle and progress. And it's that progression, which inevitably gets you to the heights to which you're capable of getting. One emotional, psychotic workout, you're like, fucking blasting my legs, brother. I swear to God, I saw my fucking dad in one of those workouts, man. I closed my eyes during the hack squat. There he fucking was, bro. Sweet. You felt a certain way about things. That's nice. But are you progressing over time? And if you're training so hard and so sloppily and such shitty reps and different exercises and whatever just to burn out the muscle, you may not even be able to track progression because you don't really standardize your shit. And the other thing is like, you may get so emotionally fatigued from workouts that you have a couple weeks where you progress and then a couple weeks where you regress, realize you're going too hard, deload, flip the switch again and go. It's much better to be a little bit more calculated about your shit. Dope out a good workout, then add a little bit to it, then add a little bit to it, then add a little bit to it. Eventually you get to that Icarus height of your wings start burning off. That's great, but it's not the whole thing. Progression in that sense means that sometimes you will need to put it all on the line, but that sometimes generally happens for like the last week before your mesocycle ends, because it's the last cherry on top of a great stimulus and because it is unsustainable. You cannot train like that for multiple weeks in a row. And if you can, you're just doing not enough volume each time. You could be doing more volume, less psychotic failure training, and growing even more. Most times, training is about showing up, using good technique, going hard, but usually not all out, hitting small load and rep PRs, coming back later that week and repeating, going up, another week, repeating, going up, up, going ultra hard, burning out, deload, and repeat. That's the ingredients. So this myth is more like going hard all the time is a myth, but going hard some of the time is a really good idea. Folks, let me know what you think in the comments below. If you're interested in more in-depth scientific shit and more real-life training examples, we have a member section, so give that shit a little subscription there. It costs like, I think it's $1 million per hour for you to subscribe. So make sure you're oil millionaire. Oh, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Oil quadrillionaire like myself. I actually have a few Zeppelins that are oil powered. No, they're not gasoline powered. They're oil powered. They burn straight up oil. The environment, never heard of it. And yeah, they're hydrogen. So I live on the fucking edge. In any case, if you're a baller 1920s quadrillionaire like myself, feel free to subscribe to the members section. Feel free to like and comment. Leave us a comment that's nice, or not. Leave us a mean comment and we'll grr right back at you. Anyway, see you guys next time for the next video.